Fox Hollow fam, I'm Dave and welcome to Baking with Fox Hollow Kitchen. You've heard of Christmas in July? Well, we're going to have summer in December as we make you a sweet lemon meringue pie. It's sweet and tasty and oh so good. So if you're ready, then let's have some fun. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is make our crust. Now, we've done pie crust on the show a couple of times, but I don't think we've ever done a single pie crust. So I'm going to put in here 1 1/4 cups of flour, 1 tablespoon of sugar in our food processor, a ½ teaspoon of salt, and 1 stick of butter cut up into smaller pieces. It should be refrigerated if not frozen. You don't want soft butter here in this case. We're just going to break it up a little bit. Okay. And we're going to pulse this to break up the pieces of butter. That's perfect. And then what we want to do is, this is not going to hold together quite right. It's still a little dry. So we're going to add a couple spoonfuls of ice water at a time to make sure it holds together. And let's try it again. Okay, there we go. Now we've got a crumbly pie crust that holds together when you squeeze it between your fingers into pie crust. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll this into a ball, cover it with plastic wrap, and set it in the refrigerator for about 2 hours. Okay, so our dough has chilled for about 2 hours in the refrigerator, wrapped in plastic in a little disc here.
So why do we wrap it in plastic like that?
It keeps it from drying out.
Okay.
And then, now that this is chilled, I'm gonna roll it out into about a 12-inch circle.
Okay.
So that it'll fit in my 9-inch pie pan. It's a little stiff because it just came out of the fridge. Just be gentle with it.
This is why you do the pie crust.
Mm-hmm.
Because we know what happens anytime I make pies, right?
Mm-hmm. No, you make pies good. I'm just going to very slowly roll it out here.
Now, how thick do you want the crust to be exactly?
Maybe about an 1/8 inch thick.
Okay.
It should be about an 1/8 inch thick by the time you're done with it.
Okay.
Mainly, this is one pie crust, so you just want to roll it out until it's big enough to fit in the pan.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think you really want a thick pie crust for something like this, right?
No, you don't need a thick pie crust for it. It's, the filling is what's important in the meringue, so.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to compare this to my pie pan. Not quite wide enough. It's long enough, but I want it to be a little bit more this way. Let's see if that's good. I think that's going to make it.
Yeah,
I think that's going to do it. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to very gently pick this up, throw it in our pie pan.
Yeah, especially with the way the weather is here
Mm-hmm.
lately. This pie is definitely, I would almost say, like a little bit of a ray of sunshine.
Yes, yes. What I do to trim these is I take a knife and I just cut it using the pie plate itself as a guide.
Okay.
There's my handles on the pie plate there, so I can't get around that. But otherwise, use the pie plate itself as a guide and just saw this off. Can't use the pie plate that way. So there we go. Didn't have too much waste on our pie pan. And then we're going to gently crimp these edges.
Now, how long are you going to bake the pie crust in the oven for?
Well, we'll get to that. It's going to be a two-stage baking process.
Okay.
I'm going to line this first with parchment paper because the problem with baking this crust like this, the sides are going to fall down and the bottom is going to get bubbly.
Okay.
It's going to have bubbles in it, so we need to prevent that. So our next step is to fill this so that it doesn't do that.
Okay, and I know you said there's a certain way that you're going to be doing that. So.
Yep, so we'll see here in a minute. I'm almost ready. Got it nice and fluted here. Okay, got this a little bit fluted here, and now we're going to move on to our next step.
All right, Dave, so you got me confused here. I see a bunch of rocks off to the side there.
Well, we're gonna get to that. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take some parchment paper, and I'm going to line this pie plate with my parchment paper. Now this is going to be a little difficult because the parchment paper is flat and I'm trying to make it go into a non-flat surface, so I have to kind of do a little bit of work here.
Work a little bit of magic.
Yeah, I have to make it work. Okay, so we got this all in here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add, we need to weigh this down, so we can weigh it down with pie weights or beans, or I have some magic beans here. I have some glass beads that I got, and I'm going to put these in here and weigh it down the whole way to the edge, and then crimp this paper so that it doesn't.
So you're going to use the rocks as your weight. Okay.
Right, because we need the. What happens is if you just put this in the oven, the sides will fall in, and the bottom will have big bubbles in it.
Okay.
And we don't want that. So what I'm going to do too is I'm going to cut some of this parchment paper away, because I got more than enough. I'll cut some of it away here. You can also sometimes use foil. I've used foil before because foil will hold its shape.
Okay.
And you can kind of get the foil in there.
Okay.
Instead of parchment paper anyway. And sometimes that works. But what we're going to do is we're going to add some of these glass beads the whole way to the edge. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to throw this in the oven at 375 for about 14 or 15 minutes until the edges just start to turn brown, and then we'll take it out and take our beads out.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so after 15 minutes, the edges are dry, and I'm going to pull these beads out of here as best I can, because I don't need them anymore. And the center is still a little wet. I did lose my fluted top a little bit. But we're going to do something very simple here. We're going to prick the bottom of our crust just a couple places with a fork. We don't want to go the whole way through. We just want to release any steam that's in there. And we're going to throw this back in the oven again at 375 for about another 5 to 7 minutes until the bottom starts to brown just ever so slightly. Okay, as you can see, our pie crust is done. It did poof up a little bit in the center, but it'll shrink back down. So we're going to set this aside to cool just slightly while we make our filling. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5 egg yolks, just the yolks, save the whites for the meringue later. Put them in a small bowl here. Some of them broke, that's okay. And we're going to take our 5 egg yolks and we're going to beat them just until they're beaten. And then we're going to set this aside because we're going to come back to it in a few minutes. Next up, in a medium-sized saucepan over medium heat, I'm going to combine 1 1/3 cup of water, a cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of cornstarch, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of lemon juice, that's about the juice from 2 lemons, and about a tablespoon of lemon zest. Again, that's about from 2 lemons. And we're just going to whisk this together over medium heat until it becomes warm and bubbly, and it'll thicken up and clarify a little bit. Okay, this has thickened up quite a bit and it's pretty bubbly. So the next step I'm going to take is I'm going to put some of this a little bit at a time into my egg yolks. Now this is a 2-hand operation. I have to whisk them into the egg yolks pretty quickly as I drizzle this in. I'm just going to keep doing that. And just this hot liquid into my egg yolks. And it's going to take a little while just to drizzle this in here. I don't want to put the egg yolks directly into the hot liquid or I'll end up with egg drop soup, and that's not good. I want to heat up my egg yolks a little bit as I go. Just keep going here. Almost there. Once I get my egg yolks pretty well heated, then we're going to dump them in finally. Give it like one more here. I think that does it. Next we're going to take our egg yolks and drizzle them into the white liquid, the lemon liquid. Same way, just very, very slowly. Need to get my pots from sliding around here so much, but it looks like it's working pretty good here. Get the rest of this out of here with my spoon. And there, we're going to raise the temperature again to medium and cook this lemon custard until it is thick and bubbly. Okay, once this starts to thicken up and we see big bubbles coming to the surface, it's time to remove it from the heat. We're going to set it aside for just a minute. Next, I'm going to take our lemon filling that we just made on the stove, and I'm going to pour it into our crust, which is still a little bit warm. Just going to get it in there. This is nice and lemony, very custard-like. We're just going to put it in here. Okay. Just get this as smooth as we can, whole way to the edges. And there we go. We're going to set this aside while we make our meringue. Alright, for our meringue, we're going to take our 5 egg whites that we used earlier from the 5 egg yolks.
Yolks?
Yolks.
Or yolks?
Yolks. It's either one.
No, it's yolks.
And then to that we're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of cream of tartar.
Okay.
with our whisk attachment. And we're going to beat these together at low speed at first, and then turn it up to medium or high until we get soft peaks forming.
Okay.
So just start it on low speed. And then whip it up to medium and then high. Okay, I think we got soft peaks here. Yeah, that's about right. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a half cup of sugar.
Okay.
Just sprinkle it on there. And a very small amount of salt, just like 1/8 of a teaspoon.
Okay, so basically like a pinch.
Yeah. Okay. And then we're going to whip this again at high speed until we get shiny, stiff peaks.
Okay.
Okay, I think that's about as good as it gets. We are going to go ahead and put this on our pie. Okay, our pie is still warm. That's what we want. We want to take our meringue.
Now, why do you want the pie still warm?
Because then the meringue will adhere to the top of the pie.
Okay.
And that's what we want. Okay, we're going to drop this in here. Got really nice stiff meringue here.
Well, that's good.
Doesn't want to come out. It's a little pretty stiff. It doesn't want to come out of the bowl. I think we have more than enough here. We're going to spread it out.
Okay.
You want to spread it the whole way to the edge of the crust.
Okay.
Make sure it touches the crust that you made.
So basically you don't want any of the filling to show.
You do not want any of the filling to show.
Okay.
You want it the whole way to the edge. Get a little bit more here. Doesn't look like I'll use all the meringue, but I can use most of it.
That's it, I think the important thing.
Yeah, it's lemon meringue pie. You can't go wrong with the meringue. Put as much on there as you feel like putting.
It's all personal preference, right?
Mm-hmm. Some people like a really high meringue top on their pie, and that's fine.
What's your preference on that?
No, it doesn't have to be that big. There's enough here to make it really big, but we don't need to do that. We can just make it like a medium.
Okay.
Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in the oven at 350 degrees. I turned it down to 375. And we're going to let it bake for about 20 to 25 minutes.
Okay.
Until the top is browned.
Okay.
Make little bitty pokes on there. Okay. We're going to set that in the oven right now and let it cook for 20 to 25 minutes. And now for the best part, the taste test. Here we go. I'm going to get a little bit off here. That is tangy and sweet. You guys are going to love it. Wrapping up today, I want to thank you all for joining us and encourage you to check out our friends and support channels listed in the description below. But before I go, always remember, good times and good food here on Baking with Fox Hollow Kitchen. We'll see you soon.
If you like this video or any of our other videos,
Be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons and stay tuned for future shows.